Welcome to lesson 4.1. So we just finished our equations unit, and so now we're hopping into inequalities. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of learn what an inequality is, how to graph them, how to write them from a graph, and all of that. So graphing inequalities, you've seen inequalities before, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And so when we're graphing inequalities, with greater than or less than, we use an open circle, okay? So it'll look like this on the graph. It's an open circle. We use that because the number is not included in the solution. So for example, if I say you have to get greater than a 90 on your test to pass the class, can you make a 90? No, you have to make greater than that. So 90 would not be a score that would make you pass the class. Only 91, 92, 93 to a 100. Those are the numbers that would be what you can write, or that what you can score in order to pass the class. So when it's greater than or less than, that number that we put the circle on is not included in the solution of our inequality or in the inequality. Okay, we use greater than or equal to and less than or equal to, and we use a closed circle. And what we mean by closed is it's going to be colored in. It's going to be filled in. And we do that because the number is included in the inequality, or is included in as a solution. So for example, same example, I can say, okay, you have to make a 90 or above. Then you can make a 90 and above a 90. So that includes that number. That would be greater than or equal to. Okay, so now let's look at our examples. So we have x is less than 3. So when we read this, we say x is less than 3. Okay, so again, we say x is less than 3. So if you're highlighting, like, x is less than 3. Okay, x is less than 3. So let's think of some numbers x could be. So x, because it's less than 3, x could be 2. It could be 0. It can be 2.9. It can be -5 or -7. Any of those would be numbers that are less than 3. Okay? What are some numbers x could not be? It could not be 3, because 3 is not included in the solution. Or 3, if it's less than 3, it can't be 3. It can't be 10 or 1,000 or 8, because all of those are greater than 3. So they cannot be that. So now let's graph. When we create the graphs, you don't need a ton of points. You probably just need about like 5. And you have to keep in mind that this is a number line. So you have to write it correctly as we would on any other number line. So 3 is what we're graphing, right? And so what comes after 3? 4, 5. And what comes before 3? 2 and 1. It has to count by the same numbers. So if you're counting by ones, count by ones. If you're counting by fives, you can count by fives. You just have to stay consistent, and it can't be like backwards. It has to match an actual number line. Okay, x is less than 3. So we're going to use an open circle. And now let's think about this. X couldn't be 3 or 4 or 8 or 1,000. All those numbers are on this side of that circle. But the numbers that x could be, 2, 0, 2.9, negative 5, they're all this way, right? So what we're going to do is graph the arrow, the direction that x could be, the numbers that x can be. X can be 2 or 1 or 3, or not 3, excuse me, 2, 1, negative 3, 0. So you're going to go to the left because all the numbers that are less than 3 are to the left of 3. Okay, and so now let's go to the second one. X is greater than or equal to 3. So what are some numbers x could be? X could be 3 because it's greater than or equal to. So that means it can be 3. It can be 5, 1,000, 279. It can be anything that is greater than 3. So what are some numbers x could not be? X could not be 2.9 or x could not be 2.9. It could not be negative 7. It could not be 2. It could not be 0 because all of those numbers are less than 3. Okay, so now when we're doing this, we're going to get 5 tally marks. So we're going to put 3 in the middle. So 4 and 5 come after, 2 and 1 come before. Okay, so it's greater than or equal to. So we're going to do a closed circle. So that tells me that 3 is included. That means 3 is a possibility. Okay, and then now if we think about it, the numbers that the number could be 5, 1,000 are always going to the right of 3. So we're going to graph to the right. It doesn't make sense for us to graph to the left because those are the numbers x could not be. Our inequality has to represent what we're doing. And then I'm so sorry, I did not do the words part. So x is greater than or equal to 3. So x is greater than or equal to 3. That was my bad. Sorry. Okay, so now we're just going to kind of practice some. So we have x is greater than negative 1. Okay, so negative 1, 0, negative 2. Negatives is typically where I see people mess up on their number line. You have to think about it in the mathematical, like the numerical order correctness. Negative 1 is farther away from 0, and so it's going to go to the left, okay? So now x is greater than 1. So we are going to do an open circle, and because it's greater than, we're going to go closer towards 0. Okay, so again, we're going closer to 0 if it's in the negatives because it's greater than, because positives are greater than negatives. So then the next one, we have 2. So 2, 3, 1. X is greater than or equal to 2. So we're going to do a closed circle, and we're going to go to the right because all the numbers that are greater than 2 are to the right of 2. Okay, so then negative 6. So negative 5 is on the right, negative 7 is on the left, okay? So this is going to be a closed circle because negative 6 is included. Now x is less than or equal to negative 6. So we're going to go to the left because it's less than, okay? Negative 7 is less than negative 6, okay? You want to be closer to 0 with your money, right? You don't want to be in the negative. So the more negative you are, the less money you have, the more debt you're in, so we have to go that way, okay? And the last one, we have 12, 13, and 11. So x is greater than or equal to 12, so we're going to do a closed circle. And because x is greater than 12, we're going to go to the right. Okay? All right, that's it for lesson 4.1. Bye.